This is the third race of 4 this weekend. Bryce Mersberger going for 3 out of 3. Eric Catil couldn't quite snag the third in a row after winning the first 2 of the weekend. Can Mersberger upset that trend? Here we go. Doubled up racing at Joliet, Illinois' Autobahn Country Club South Course. Green flag, and we're underway in the GRIDLIFE Rush Series. And the 314 at Kraus got a phenomenal start from the back there. He's going to slide up the inside of that red and white car to the inside of the 9 of Billingsley. Batley and Ayler come out right behind Mersberger into turn 2.
Yeah, it looks like Mersberger actually slowed up the whole field coming up to the green flag. It might be a bit of a strategy to try to get out in front of Batley right off the bat.
Yeah, generally not supposed to change your pace when you're on that front row. So if he slowed down too much, I'm sure race control will have a look at that. Bird almost slammed into the drone there. You see that in the shot?
Close call.
Almost had a mid-air collision there. But Mersberger, Batley, car length between them, and they're very quickly establishing an advantage on Ayler in the 74, and then Matthew Novak in the 256, who's been up and down the order. He had a mechanical early on, but now putting pressure on Ayler down into turn 8.
Look into third place here, making a look at the inside. Doesn't look like he took it back there. See if he can maybe get a good run down the back straight as Batley is still hanging on to Mersberger. Yeah, and into turn 10 again. This will set you up for that back straightaway. Batley maybe going to try to take advantage of Mersberger just getting warmed up to speed here. He put a lot more pressure on him in the first race of the weekend than he did in race 2. And not enough time to really utilize the slipstream to its full advantage, but on the brakes again. He's so close there, Dana, but didn't pop out of line to have a look just yet. We've seen Batley be so aggressive on the brakes. He might have a slight advantage and possibly overdoing it a bit sometimes, so he's definitely going to try to use that into turn 12 there to get an advantage.
Here he comes now, Batley charging up behind Mersberger and chase him over to the center of the racetrack. He's going to have a look here to turn 1 late on the brakes. Here comes Jalen Batley. Mersberger's going to try to cross him over. Look at the lunge he has up into turn 2. Side by side now as they head toward $1 Million Corner.
Another over-under. Does he keep overlap? Oh. They do. Side by side again.
And now to turn 4. This track will come back Batley's way here. But who's braver on the brakes around the outside? Mersberger can't hang on to it. Jalen Batley muscles his way to the top spot. And now Mersberger will have to go on offense for the first time this weekend.
Yeah, that's exactly what Batley needed to do. He needed to get his car out in front and put the play into Mersberger's hands. He needs to figure out a way around Batley now for the first time.
Yeah, and Ayler and Billingsley still fighting for third on back, and the rest of the cars are still scrapping for the leftovers from that lead battle. Now can Mersberger get back on Batley? Again, we've seen Jalen so aggressive on the brakes, but here comes Mersberger up the inside. He's going to have a look here into turn 9 and try to take the spot back. They're still side by side into turn 10. Now Batley hangs onto it. Mersberger's going to cross him over once more.
Mersberger kind of gave it up there mid-corner, trying to take advantage of a good exit. He's going to use any slipstream he can and try to see which way he tries to go. He moves outside.
Look at that, 7 thousandths between them and their best lap last time around. And Mersberger's ahead of the steering of Batley. Batley just chasing it left and right in the background there. There's Billingsley. Actually, that might have been Ayler that was losing a spot there to Novak. Here comes Mersberger to the inside of turn 13. He's going to steal the lead back. Batley crosses him over. This is an epic battle between these two as they come across the stripe this time.
Batley ran a bit wide there. Maybe just some nerves from Mersberger being right on his bumper for the last whole lap.
And Mersberger takes it back and puts Jalen Batley on the back foot once more. Note that Matthew Novak has the best lap of the race with the purple wipe on the screen. And with Ayler dropping a couple spots, I'm curious how that affects the weekend points. Because remember, Ayler was up in 3rd place trying to defend, I think, from that 256, if I recall correctly. So, or maybe it was Billingsley in the 9s. With Billingsley in 3rd, that could shake that effort up a little bit.
That is, that's the highest up we've seen Billingsley so far from Nick.
So remember, it was a 4-point advantage, I think, from Ayler over Billingsley. And as they head around the backside of the racetrack, you see the leaders nose to tail very, very tight. 10 minutes and 25 seconds to go in this race. Still plenty of action left in this one.
See if Batley can have anything to say back to Mersberger here, as he's really got to get something done, because Mersberger does seem to have just a bit more pace as he's ran away the first 2 races.
Down into turn 11, Batley still putting a lot of pressure on Mersberger out in front. They'll come back around here to turn 13. Building a little bit of a gap there. Across the stripe this time. It was 2/10 last time. It'll be slightly more than that. Here's a look at the points as they run, and here's that shift. Ayler, Billingsley, 1 point between them, but they swapped this time because Ayler lost another spot to Max Krause, so now Nick Billingsley is on the podium here with weekend points as they run.
Absolutely. I see Novak is still in tow with Billingsley there, so possible another switch for third place.
Yeah, great battles with Nick Billingsley charging up the order here, looking for a trophy perhaps for the first time. And it looks like John Howe is down the order a little ways. Again, missing, I think, Peter Dale from yesterday. There's Howe in the 17. Love that livery. Easy to spot. And just coming up to grips with this car at this racetrack. I'm not sure that he's been here before, but it takes a lot of guts to run around here. Very flat racetrack, Dana, so you have to have a really good track knowledge to extract all the performance out of the car. Yeah,
it is very flat. Not a lot of elevation going on here, but there is some, and you can use it to your advantage. I'm sure Mersberger and Batley are quite in tune with it. We could see them yesterday, how they would pretty much flat slide the entire car, multiple corners. Here they are now coming through turn 11.
I'm just blown away by how much you can drive these cars in slip angle. With how short they are and the aero that they have, you'd think that they would have sort of a snappy kind of architecture to them, but they don't do that at all. And that's been something that, Blair Hosey of Rush Auto Works had told me, is that they're so easy to drive, and you can see it here. I mean, easy to drive, maybe not the term, maybe easy to drive, hard to go fast in, I think is really the term, because you have to get so comfortable with it. And Ayler hangs on to 7th, but just that battle for 7th is pretty fierce. And here's the one for 3rd between Billingsley and Novak in the green 256 car.
And Novak has been slowly chipping away. Now we get down to about 2/10 between Novak and Billingsley, looking for 3rd place about halfway through the race.
Yeah, using a little more racetrack there is the 256. Has Billingsley in the crosshairs now.
Wow, big bounce for Novak. The whole back end of the car just scooted over a whole foot.
And using all the rumble strips on corner exit. Have a look at Novak, about 2/10 better than Billingsley's best lap. So that puts Nick sort of on defense here in that number 9, the white and black car ahead of the green and yellow.
I think this is the first time of the weekend that Nick Billingsley has been up on the podium. He's certainly not going to want to give that up as they go onto the back straight here.
No, you're exactly right about that. And see if he'll get defense going, sort of a lazy transition from right to left on this back stretch. It's long enough that you can sort of take your time transitioning back to the left side of the road, but not long enough that you can use the slipstream there. So defense is paramount. And watch Novak with that little flat slide, using some more curbing in the background. And sweeping through. 1 car length between them. Novak's got a pretty good run here. I wonder if he'll try to stick the nose up the inside late into turn 1, but he's not quite there.
Not quite there. He waits for it. He's waiting for the perfect opportunity. They don't have much differential in pace. It's still about 2/10 of a second between them as they cross the line that time.
You see the 256 using more road, getting very comfortable. One of the things I saw with Autobahn Country Club, Dana, I have never driven around here at speed, but I have ridden around here with Tomo and drove my own car yesterday around there. The exit curbs end very quickly. And so, while they're there to save you, if you kind of slide out to the edge of the track, you can't ride them down the straightaway very long. So if you run wide, you don't have a lot of opportunity right here. You have to pull the car back on track pretty quickly, or you sort of drop off into these big ruts. And in a Rush Series car, that is a really big rut. It feels like dropping off the side of a cliff.
There's a few curbs that get abused a bit here, where it might swallow an entire Rush car. Honestly, the holes can get kind of big. But here he's right up on Billingsley. Try to set up on the back straight here, get a really good run, and use any slip angle, any slipstream that he can.
Yeah, Billingsley's in trouble here, and he'll probably stay center racetrack here to prevent Novak from having a look up the inside. He drifts back to the left as soon as that pressure starts to fade. But look at, Novak, a little bit tighter line there, getting ahead of the steering of Billingsley, but Billingsley carried really good speed through turn 12. That will allow him to hang on to this 3rd spot for now. But this is the fight that we're watching here as they come back onto the front straightaway.
Billingsley hasn't really had to defend quite yet, but that time is running out as we see them cross the line now. Only, it's down to about 1/10 and a half now.
Slip. Billingsley slipped in the middle of 1.
There it is. That's the mistake. Looks inside if he can clear before turn 3. He can't. They go side by side again.
Oh, man. He holds him off for now, but Novak ran out of road.
Could not get it done. Billingsley is now on the back foot, trying to defend whenever he has to.
Riding the rumbles there on the right, but he's definitely got Billingsley checking his mirrors. All this happening about 4 seconds behind the race leader, Bryce Mersberger. This is the closest and fiercest battle on the racetrack, and Novak's off. That was one of those ruts I was talking about. Takes a rough ride, and you see that distance grow between himself and Billingsley.
Yeah, that was another mistake there. It's now going to increase the gap between Billingsley and Novak, and now Billingsley won't have to defend quite as hard. It's going to help his pace throughout the rest of the race here with 4 minutes left.
And I wonder if that opens the door for Mark Charnogorski, the back of that shot, the red, white, and blue car. You know, as soon as you drop off the end of a curb like that, it's like a shark smelling blood in the water, circling the seals, dorsal fin, navigating the waters here at Autobahn Country Club. We're a long way from an ocean, Dane. I'm just trying to make it seem like we're not in the middle of the Midwest.
I think if you were Charnogorski, you were hoping that they would be side by side for a lot longer and that neither of them would be making a mistake and falling off like that. If the longer they're side by side, the more Charnogorski would catch up, and he would have an opportunity to jump from 5th all the way up to 3rd if they were battling.
Look at their best lap delta. Wow. 0.004 between them, between Billingsley and Novak. They're very evenly matched.
That one mistake from Novak ended up costing him about 0.8 of a second.
And that's the thing, right? You talk about race pace versus hot lap pace. Within 4 thousandths on the timesheets, but if you lose 0.8, driving a little too ragged, that's what will put you outside the podium.
Just looking at the time delta between Mersberger and Batley at the front, it's still 1.1 seconds. Mersberger has not been extending the lead whatsoever over the last 2 laps. Batley's keeping the exact same pace, so it could be just a matter of one mistake for Mersberger that would take away that lead advantage.
I wonder if Mersberger's managing too, though. I mean, we saw him start to pull away yesterday, and now that he's got Batley out of his immediate firing line, I think he can kind of focus on just running consistent laps, maybe saving the tires a bit for the 4th race. And the 4th race in the GRIDLIFE Rush Series is grid differently than the rest of the series here this weekend. Everywhere else, we have a random invert of the top, 25% of the field or so as John Howe gets put a lap down. But the race 4 is gridded by the points that you've earned so far this weekend. So given that we've seen Nick Billingsley up in 3rd place on the points chart, he would start in row 2 on the inside for the start of this next race.
Does Rush do an invert?
They do not.
Okay, it's just points.
Just points. And there, as they stand, is how things would line up. Mersberger, Batley, Billingsley, Ayler, and Grimm.
Look at that gap between 1st and 2nd. It has dropped. It got split in half from about 1.2 to now only about 0.7 between Mersberger and Batley. Here they are coming through turn 3.
I wonder if Jalen's got anything left to reel him back in. Maybe Mersberger's not managing. Maybe he was trying to push away, and Batley's found a little something, found a little bravery after that scrum early on in the race. I expect to see a white flag next time by Dana, so time's running out.
I'd have to expect Mersberger was probably managing to some extent, and it could have just been a simple mistake that he made that allowed Batley to catch back up, or he's managing too much, and now he sees Batley in the mirror getting bigger and bigger. And now he's got a...
Oh, slip. Batley, big wiggle at turn 9, or turn 8 rather. He's gathered it up, but that was a critical corner. He needed to have that one come together for him to keep this delta.
Yeah, little mistakes like that, it all adds up. There was another mistake earlier in the race, and then that one there at it. And between the two is over a second. That could have been it, but you know, it's so hard to drive a perfect race.
So Bryce Mersberger has won both races so far. And given that we grid by the points earned on the weekend, he'll start on pole for race 4. And that will give him a chance to sweep the weekend. But it's the white flag last lap here at Autobahn Country Club. 1 lap to go. And Mersberger, 1.6 seconds clear of Billingsley. Novak not close enough to have any look at 3rd place any longer without a mistake. For Bryce, this is a standout weekend for him.
Absolutely fantastic drive so far. All first 3 races, only half a lap to go, and he's now switching back into managing mode. He has a 1.5-second gap. He's got to just get to the checker flag.
Yeah, no mistakes now, but don't back off, because when you do that, Dana, you tend to make mistakes. Just keep the same pressure you were driving before, the same kind of pace that got you to the lead. I think there's a little lap traffic up the road perhaps, but I don't think it'll be too much of a factor. Tell you, Batley is doing a nice job closing that gap back up. He just needed more laps.
He is quite good on the brakes.
That was been his both his greatest strength and his Achilles heel this weekend.
Yeah. Big slide there through turn 9.
Yeah, I think Batley learned something, though, about cornering in these cars. Just running side by side with Mersberger, learning to trust the slip angle in it. And Bryce will navigate turn 11 for the final time. I'll tell you, Jalen Batley's really closed up the gap, but he's going to run out of time and run out of laps. Bryce Mersberger is going to go 3 for 3. Checkered flag for the 114. And Bryce Mersberger holds off a hard-charging Jalen Batley, who on the final lap cuts the gap from 1.7 to 0.9. But Batley gets the job done in second place. Then Billingsley. Oh, Novak got by Billingsley on the last lap. Nick is fifth now. That changes things quite a bit.
Billingsley had some sort of issue or maybe a mistake there. Possibly Novak, put some pressure on Billingsley there, and looks like it cost Billingsley 4 seconds and 2 positions.
I have to imagine there was a mistake, because I don't think they were even close to each other going into that last lap. But that is going to shake up the weekend points a little bit. I have a look on the right. That's going to put Ayler tied with Billingsley for third, and I think the tiebreaker is where they qualified, which I think would be advantage Ayler. So wow, that was going to change not necessarily the row that Billingsley starts on, but which side of the row, and will give Ayler an advantage heading into race 4.
Yeah, if I was Billingsley, I would have wanted that inside second row instead of the outside second row. But it all depends on how that first row handles it too. So
let's have a look here at results for Autobahn Country Club. Rush Series Race 3, Bryce Mersberger, Jalen Batley, Matthew Novak, Mark Charnogorski, and Nick Billingsley, 1 through 5. Max Kraus, big start, but couldn't hang on to it for much of a finish there. P6. Then Ayrton Grimm in 7th, Kelsey Billingsley, Jason Ayler down in 9th. That's not what he needed, but he had enough points stacked up on to maintain his position in 3rd in the weekend points. And then John Howe, Peter Dale, and Jared Anderson. Peter Dale got a late start, I think, headed on the racetrack after the initial launch of the green flag. So there's a look at your results. Let's have a look at highlights here from GRIDLIFE Rush Series race number 3. And Rush Series race 3 on Sunday morning at Autobahn Country Club. It was Bryce Mersberger and Jalen Batley on pole. And at the launch of the green flag, it was Max Kraus that had a very strong start, but Batley overtakes Mersberger in turn 1, and they battled side by side for a lap or so. Batley eventually snuck into the lead for a little while, all the while for 3rd. Billingsley and Matthew Novak went back and forth. And then Nick Billingsley was out in 3rd place for a while and would have put himself up into 3rd for the start of race 4, but had slipped down at the end. But Bryce Mersberger in the number 114, picking up a checker flag here over Jalen Batley, and wins the 3rd race of the weekend for the GRIDLIFE Rush Series. GRIDLIFE Rush Series Race 3 complete from Chicagoland.